thought it would be good to start out with something that kind of shows the limitations of the gear. Normally the noise floor in this mode, which is the noisier mode because you can see it scanning quick, is about e to the minus 14 on this arbitrary scale they're showing. When I first fired this up 8 minutes ago, the floor was e to the minus 13, and could have been simply because the room was full of smoke from the wood stove. As it's running, it's getting better, but I want you to see how these lines change as we do the scans, so you can tell which ones, by just looking, which are real and which are just op-amp noise or leakage current or whatever. So that cluster of lines around 18 water are real. There's one at about 28, that's real too, that's N2. Probably 2 is real. 3 and 4 are probably real. 1 always looks a little funky. If you study quadrupole mass spectrometers, you'll know why that is. But anyway, this is a baseline. The tank was reading 9 times 10 to the minus 9th millibar when I first turned this on. Just turning on the filament knocked it up to 1 times 10 to the minus 8th. So this is what the tank looks like, 0 to 50 mass, after sort of sitting pumping overnight. And you can see occasional spikes deep down to e to the minus 15th. That's going to be the real noise floor when this thing finally cleans itself up, or pretty close. Now for the rest of this I will use the stair step, which integrates and bins rather than showing you the pure analog thing, because that ignores the noise better and gives me a factor of about 10 lower noise floor. But this is just to show you the limitations of the gear, and presumably I'm going to let it run for half an hour and it'll get better. Okay, this one's just for fun. As you can see, the things run a little bit longer and the noise floor is starting to go down, which is nice. You can see which peaks are real because they have nice round tops and they don't change from scan to scan. Okay, the stuff that's kind of in the noise is, well, kind of in the noise. And if you don't see it every single scan, it's not really there. That's just leakage currents and whatnot. Now, just for grins, and I haven't tried this today, but I've done it a bunch of times. Let's see what happens when I suddenly kick on the bake-out heater lamps. Okay, I'll do it right at the end of this scan, and you'll probably hear the click of the switch going. Okay, now what's that doing? Do you see how the water lines just jumped up? Whoa! 28 jumped up. Oh, and there's the carbon dioxide. Or look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 are big. 5, 6, 7 didn't go anywhere, which is important to notice. Suddenly we see some 12 that's real. And so on and so forth. And now we're starting to see real lines up in the area, and those are in the e to the minus 13 range. Okay, I'm not going to leave this on very long because I've got them the bake-out heater lamps at full power, which both stresses my electrical system, and I can heat things up in the tank to the point where they makes gas from various bits of plastic and whatnot in there. So let me switch them to low power, which I just did. Bingo, look at this stuff falling down. So this kind of tends to give me some confidence that my gear is working. Now when I turn the thing completely off, it's going to take a while, so okay, I just turned it off all the way. You see everything creep back down. So it's just amazing how much gas is actually stuck to the tank walls, even when you're getting these fairly low readings. And that's one of the reasons it's hard to get to the really, really low vacuums, is because that stuff just takes forever to come off the walls unless you blast it off. Okay, this is about a minute after the first one. You can see now very clearly that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are real. I don't think 6 is real. But it could be, because this is after that run where I saw a definitely real 6, or to me it was definitely real. Just because look at it as the scan goes by, it changes every time. That's some kind of crummy noise, just like that stuff around what, the 30s, that is probably not real. But clearly 28's real, and this something around 31 is real, and so on. And probably the first 4 are real. Because guess what? This tank has had nothing but deuterium and fusion running in it for months since I last cracked the door. So we're finally getting to the noise floor where I want to see it before, so we can run the real experiment. Which we're going to do is to try to see if we can make a real looking 6th line appear without doing fusion. But as you can see, the water family is always with us. Water is our mortal enemy. Hopefully the focus on this one is a little bit better. This camera needs reading glasses to get in close to a computer screen. All for the moment. Alright, another half an hour or so has passed since the last one, and we're getting a little closer to what I think the noise floor ought to be. And since this is turning into sort of a tutorial on mass spectrometry, thought I'd show you what happens when we turn off the filament. This should pretty much turn off the ion source. I think the 70 volts or so electron accelerator probably stays on, and obviously the sweep voltages stay on, which are mostly fairly low in the mass range 0 to 50. Let's see what it looks like when there's no ions, so we can just see the noise. So you can see we still have water and N2 and not a whole lot else. Some 2, probably H2. But here goes. We're going to turn this filament off. Bang, it's off. And cooling down. Notice the scale just jumped up to the next factor of 10. It's auto scaling here. Okay. So we're seeing what? 2, 3 times e to the minus 14. That's the middle exponent on the left scale with the filament off, and this is just pure op-amp noise. This brings to light how difficult the thing that Charles Wenzel is doing with his ion chambers and trying to work down at some pretty low currents. This is a $20,000 piece of gear. It's pretty well made. It's temperature controlled in there. It's fan cooled, blah blah blah. And even though the op-amp in there might be 10 to the minus 16th or so, it's not the only thing in there, and it's not the only issue. A lot of things have to be right. So let's turn this filament back on and watch it warm back up. I'll hit it now. And there's a little message. Takes a little while to warm up, just like a vacuum tube. Bingo! There's our water, there's our nitrogen. I'm seeing less CO and CO2 than I normally see, but that's okay. And it looks like the stuff over here in the 234 range is pretty much, it's hard to call that real. It might be real. It's likely to be slightly real because those things have been in the tank a lot over the last few months, and pretty much only those things. This water is what's getting through the Viton most probably, because there is some for the front door of the tank and a couple of tubing couplers to let feed-throughs in. So hopefully that was educational, and I'll stop it now.